Hey guys, Blake here with Rack Attack, your #1 spot to make your vehicle more useful and to keep all the stress out of your next family trip. Now today we're going to be discussing a little bit about rooftop cargo bars. Now what are they? What do they do? And how to pick the right one for your vehicle. Now whether you're hauling a rooftop cargo box, a basket, even your rooftop bike rack, or the occasional rooftop tent, yes, you can do that, we got you covered. Literally. Now, tune in. We're going to keep you well informed in this one, keep it lighthearted and simple so that when you end up making your rooftop cargo bar purchase this summer, you will be way more informed so you don't get that buyer's remorse. Now, before we get into some of the more specific items when it comes to your roof rack setup, let's figure out the whole anatomy on what makes up your roof rack setup. So, starting from the roof and working our way up. Now, on most of your vehicles, these are all going to apply. There are some exceptions to the rule, but in general, this is what we're going to be looking at. Now, first things first is what looks like a rubber pad here, as well as the hardware that's going to be included to actually cinch everything down to your vehicle. This is what we would call your fit kit. Now, that is what Thule's nomenclature is when it comes to their adapting vehicle-specific kits. Now, Yakima calls theirs either a landing pad or a sight clip or a base clip, depending on what style of roof rack setup you have and what vehicle you have. So, we have our landing pad or our fit kit, as far as Thule is concerned in this particular example. Then going up from there, we have what links everything together is the tower itself. Now your towers are going to differentiate between the specific application type per vehicle as well as the vehicle itself. Different vehicles are going to have different roof rack setups. We'll go over that here in a bit. Now, with your towers, typically they end up having the ability to be lockable because once the tower is locked, you cannot take the tower off or adjust it, i.e. if somebody wants to steal your bars, it makes it extremely difficult to do so with lock cores. This is typically an added-on option that you can do when you end up purchasing your bar setup. Now that would entail of having a lock core installed on the actual door for your towers themselves. That makes it that I cannot take this door off to be able to access the hardware here to be able to loosen or remove my bars. This is a really nice peace of mind. When you end up spending a little bit of money on your bar setup, it is an investment. You want to protect your investment. That's why typically I always do recommend everybody go with lock cores to be able to protect that. Now, next step is going to be the bars themselves. Now the bars are going to typically, depending on what bar setup you go with, for Thule's Evo wing bars, they have a quick access interface with the end cap here so that I can have access to the T-track on the bar itself so I can add a bunch of different accessories. Now, with Thule's Evo wing bars, once I end up actually opening up the bar end cap, I'm able to slide my hardware in. Once it's locked into this actual T-track, all I do is I actually close it and we're good to go. Now for Yakima's bars, it's a little bit different. You just end up having to pull off the end cap for Yakima's Jetstream bars. And for Yakima's HD bars, it's going to be a little bit different. Theirs don't have an end cap that you actually have to open or close to be able to access the T-track. Theirs, you just end up sliding it into it, but it does have that really nice tie-down option so that you can actually fixate different stuff to the bar itself. So if you need to strap down a load, it actually helps you out with that built-in tie-down in the end cap itself. So just to recap, starting from the roof and working our way up, we have the fit kit or landing pad, depending on which vehicle or application that we're working with. But this is going to be your adapting kit that is going to be vehicle specific. Then moving our way up from there, we have the tower itself, as well as that is going to include, or in some people's cases, depending on preference, not include the lock cores, so that you can actually take on or off the bars. And then at that point, that's what links our bar to the whole setup itself. Now there's going to be some applications where you won't need a fit kit. I'm talking to you raised rail people. Again, we'll go over that here in a bit. But in a nutshell, this is our anatomy of your basic roof rack system. Your fit kit, your tower, and your bar. And the elective one is your lock cores. Now before we end up going into crossbars and cargo, let's take it a little ways back. Way back. I'm talking bell bottoms and disco back. Now until the late 1970s, most vehicles on the road end up having something we call rain gutters. Little metal lips that ran across the entire line of the roof on your vehicle that were designed to channel rain away from your windows. Now, enter in the roof rack manufacturers. They had a great idea and thought that's a great place to mount stuff. Then came in some of the sleeker vehicle designs. Enter in the 1975 AMC Pacer or the Chevy Monza. No gutters on the sides, sleek roof lines, which means that the roof rack companies had to get a little more creative or they were going to be in big trouble. That's when roof rack companies engineered clever ways to mount roof racks onto different vehicles and different roof types. That's where you end up seeing the 5 different roof types that we're going to be going over today. So the first one we're going to be talking about today is going to be the rain gutters. Now the rain gutters are still found on a lot of vehicles today, and yes, I'm talking to you Jeep Wrangler guys. Now the way that the bars would mount on a rain gutter style mount is that they're going to actually clamp onto the rain gutters directly. Now the applications for this are pretty similar to your regular bar setup. You're still able to throw on your uncle's canoe that you're still borrowing after all these years onto those bars, so you won't have to worry about any of that stuff. But as far as rooftop tents are concerned, it's going to be a little more limited. Now, do you have a bare vehicle with nothing on top on the roof? Well, you're not out of luck. That's where you end up having a bare roof on the vehicle. Now, the way that the bars are actually going to clip into your vehicle is via the door jamb. Your doors are actually going to close onto the custom fitted clips that are made specifically for the vehicle in question. Now we're talking about you're going to find these styles of vehicles on your Honda Civics, your Toyota Camrys, even your Toyota Priuses. So all those bars are going to clip into the door jambs there. The cool part is that they are fully removable, very similarly to the rain gutter towers. So when you don't end up needing them on the vehicle, you can fully remove them or put them back on as you see fit. That's really where the versatility comes in when you end up having a bare roof setup. So you have a bunch of options. Now, very similarly, what you will find on a bare roof setup, for instance, this is Yakima's SightLine system, partnered with their base clips. That's how you're going to be able to clip around that door jamb. So the bar is going to be comprised of the base clips, which are custom fitted for your specific vehicle and partnered with the SightLine towers. Now, some cars have preset threaded holes in the roof, or anchor points as we call them, and they're hidden typically by little trap doors you end up having to open up on the roof itself. That if you have that, you would end up having a fixed point mounting system on your roof. Typically these are going to be found in your Subaru WRXs. It's very common with those that you end up having to open up those little trap doors, and then to be able to attach bars, you have a specific fit kit or a adapting kit, depending on what manufacturer's nomenclature you actually want to use, that is going to adapt into those fixed point mounts, meaning that there's hardware in those kits that are going to actually drop into those little trap doors to be able to secure the bars to the vehicle. Think of it as a secret handshake between your bars and your vehicle. Now, when you're talking about your fixed point mounting roof systems, you can't forget about the Yakima SkyLine system. Now, the way that this system works is that it's partnered with, in this particular case, they call it the landing pad. It is actually the adapting kit that has that necessary hardware to be able to drop into those fixed pointed mounts that you have in the roof. Now, when you end up having that landing pad, that allows the adaptation of the SkyLine tower, in Yakima's case, Now the SkyLine tower is going to be the bridge between your landing pad and your bar to be able to suck everything together to make it all one cohesive roof rack setup. Now in this particular example, they call it a landing pad. Thule, in this particular case, would call it a fit kit. Now, essentially, boil it down, it's the same thing, but you're going to find different manufacturers use different nomenclature for the similar type of setups. The next one we're going to be talking about is your raised roof rails. Now, typically these are found on your Toyota 4Runners or even your Subaru Foresters or Outbacks. Now, these are very, very common that you're going to see on the market nowadays. How we define a raised roof rail is that you can fit your hand in between the roof and the bottom of the rail. Now, what that's going to mean is that my tower, my bar setup, is going to actually be able to mount directly to that rail itself without the need of a fit kit. Now, without using the fit kit, it actually saves me a few bucks in the long run, so that's pretty cool. But it ends up actually just being a little bit more of a simpler roof setup. Now, when talking about raised roof rails on your vehicle, enter in the Yakima TimberLine system. Now, this is one example of multiple different systems that you're going to find on the market these days, but Yakima's TimberLine system is extremely easy and versatile to use. Now, remember, I can fit my hand inside the rail. Here is my vehicle roof. Here is the bottom of my rail. I can fit my hand inside of here. That's where the stainless steel band that's coated in rubber, that's going to actually wrap around that rail. And when I end up actually attaching or removing my bars, you pull off the little door here, and I'm actually able to tighten or loosen the mechanism here to be able to cinch that bar system down to my rails. Now again, these are very, very common on the market today. Without the use or need of a fit kit, it does save you a few bucks in the long run, so that's pretty cool. Now the last one that we're going to be talking about today as far as our roof types is going to be the flush rails. Now your flush rails are typically found on your BMW X Series SUVs and a lot of your other SUVs you'll see commonly on the market today. Now, these guys are defined by a flush rail that goes from north to south on the vehicle, front to back, on the right and left side. Now, as its opposite counterpart, the raised rail, I cannot fit my hand in between the roof and the rail. There are no gaps along the entirety of the rail from front to back of the vehicle. Now, the way that the bars are going to mount onto these is that they're going to clamp onto that rail directly. So this is going to require the need of a fit kit. That fit kit is going to comprise of a clamp that's going to actually be made to go around that rail, as well as a pad. That rubber pad is actually going to be contoured to the shape of that rail so that you get as good of a purchase on that rail as humanly possible. Remember, you're driving down the road with cargo on your roof. You want to make sure you have as secure of a purchase or grip onto the vehicle as much as possible. So, to recap, your flush rails are defined by 0 gaps across the entirety of the rail from front to back of the car. Now, when talking about a flush rail system on your roof, you can't forget the Yakima SightLine system. Now, the SightLine system is comprised of the sight clip. Now, the specific sight clip is going to be contoured and fitted for your vehicle, as well as you end up having the rubber pad that comes with that sight clip. Now, once you have the sight clip, you end up partnering that with the SightLine tower. The SightLine towers are going to actually be the bridge between the sight clip and your bar to have that good purchase on everything there. Now, at this point, you can probably tell that you can fit a bunch of different styles of bars on your towers, and they are used for different applications. Multiple different manufacturers adopt this mantra. It's not just a Yakima thing, but you will find this pretty commonly across the market between a bunch of different manufacturers. Now, so far, everything that we've talked about as of yet is all regarding aftermarket bar roof setups. Now, sometimes you will find some manufacturers do make their own bars that they offer you when you end up buying the vehicle. Now, always remember that a lot of your accessories may not be compatible with your factory-made bars, so before you end up making that decision, double check exactly what accessories you plan on putting on the vehicle so you can really navigate for the future. Now that you know everything there is to know about racks, now we get to talk about the fun part, the accessories. What accessories can you put on your new bar system? Well, let's find out. Now, one of the most common accessories you can put on your new set of crossbars is a cargo box. Now, a lot of people have the misconception that if you have a Yakima bar setup, you have to have a Yakima cargo box. Now, if you want to stay matchy-matchy, that's totally fine. But if you did a different brand's cargo box on your Yakima bars, in this example, you'd be typically fine. The big thing is these boxes are designed to be extremely universal. That's the whole point of these. The more versatile they are, the more useful they are. Now, just be aware when you end up actually outfitting your bars with a cargo box that you do stick to the manufacturer's suggested weight ratings that the bars are rated to. So typically on a lot of your bars, it's 165 pounds dynamic load rating. That means that as I'm driving around town, I'm not stationary. When I'm driving around town, then my bars are rated to hold up to 165 pounds. Now, if my box is 40 pounds that's sitting on top of those bars, you do the math, you can figure out exactly how much weight you actually have to play around with when you end up loading up your box for your next family trip. Don't forget. As you could tell by my massive wall of rooftop accessories, that there are no shortage of things that you can put onto your rooftop crossbars. Now we're talking about bike racks, ski racks, stand-up paddleboard racks, and even kayak racks, to name a few. Now just remember, when you end up strapping down your new accessory to your rooftop crossbars, that when you actually are using it, that you know how to do that properly. Now, if you're unsure on exactly how to strap down, for instance, your bike to your new bike rack, you can always stop by one of your local Rack Attack stores near you, and one of our trained professionals will walk you through step by step exactly how to use your new accessories to take the stress out of transporting your load from A to B. Now, did I mention that you can also do rooftop tents on your new crossbar setup? Check in with one of your local Rack Attack professionals and they can let you know if your roof bars are going to be compatible with a rooftop tent. You won't regret it. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully this gave you some solid head start on choosing your perfect roof cargo solution. And knowing your roof type and how all the bits and pieces fit together makes shopping way easier and a lot less stressful. And hey, if you like what you're seeing here, drop a comment down below and let us know what you'd like to see in the next video.